The writing I chose was On the Fear of Death by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. This writing spoke out to me unlike the others because it was one that I could personally relate to the most. Death is something that is inevitable, and we all worry about it every now and then. But why do we still continue to fear this part of life, even though it's so inescapable? From the first part of the text, we are given a quote from Tagore, quote, "Let me not pray to be sheltered from dangers, but to be fearless in facing them. Let me not beg for the stilling of my pain, but for the heart to conquer it. Let me not look for allies on life's battlefield, but for my own strength. Let me not crave in anxious fear to be saved, but hope for the patience to win my freedom. Grant me that I may not be a coward, feeling your mercy in my success alone, but let me find the grasp of your hand in my failure." End quote. The quote given felt very powerful. Tagore describes how she fears things in life, and instead of wishing that these battles just go away, she asks for a way to conquer them and a way to stay hopeful. I think we can all agree that in some way we ask for this too, or even that our problems simply just miraculously disappear. But in life, running away from our problems will never actually make them go away. It is how we solve them and battle them. Diving deeper into the text, Ross explains how the widespread epidemic has not only had physical effects on the world, but mentally has changed us all more than it ever has before. Quote, "It is for them that I am trying to outline the changes that have taken place in the last few decades, changes that are ultimately responsible for the increased fear of death, the rising number of emotional problems, and the greater need for understanding of and coping with the problems of death and dying." End quote. It is obvious that mental illness has been on the rise, and it is something that isn't talked about as much as it should. Ross explains that fewer people are coming into the hospital for physical injury, rather so for mental illness. The phrase I chose from my quote is life's battlefield. This stood out to me because life is like a battlefield. Everyone is fending for themselves, and we are constantly being challenged, running, and hiding from the subject of death. It feels like a constant battle within ourselves, watching people suffer and die, just trying to stay alive. And as morbid as it seems, every year, every birthday, we are closer to that tragic day. But not only is life's battlefield a physical fight, it is just as much mental. Fighting death is something we constantly think about, and today more than ever. We lose that battle to death too soon, as each year suicide rates are dramatically increasing. Death has many different meanings. To some, it can be more painful than others. It is a celebration of life. Death is a fear that we all have instilled in us, but worrying about it for the rest of our lives is not going to let us live life to the fullest.